The way we're building AI automation is about to change forever. And if you're still thinking in terms of dragging and dropping nodes, you may fall behind in 2026. And the reason is that up until recently, automating a business meant you had to understand the tools, the integration, the logic, the edge cases, but that model is about to change completely. And the reason is that with agentic workflow, the bottleneck is not anymore the technical execution, but it's business clarity, which means that if you can clearly define what problems a business needs to solve and how the system should behave, everything else can be delegated to the system itself, including the implementation and the code. And in this video, I'm gonna show you exactly what this looks like in practice, building a CRM automation end-to-end. And if you don't know who I am, I'm Joe. I'm an ex-senior manager in big tech, and over the past 5 months, I've helped more than 50 businesses transition to AI. So with that aside, get comfortable and let's dive straight in. Let me start by showing you immediately what we're gonna be building, so it's also more clear later why this is relevant. What you see in front of you is ClickUp. If you have never heard about it, it's a CRM platform, which basically is a place where you can store all of the information related to the customer of a business. And CRM stands for Client Relationship Management, something along the way. In here, why is this relevant? So here, it's basically a database, right? And the reason why this is relevant is not really because you can automate fancy things and etc., but it's because this thing automates the sales process of a business, and you can see it from the status. So whenever a lead or prospect comes in, this goes inside the CRM in the intake thing. And then once you move this lead along your funnel, then it's meeting booked. So this means that the lead is waiting for us to have the meeting with it or a waiting proposal. And this allows the sales team to be aligned on what is the next step and how should we go there, right? And the thing is that a lot of businesses are leaking data and leaking alignment. So that is the actual ROI of this business, is not simply the storing the information. So how does this work? We can simply go into Antigravity and say something along the way of, hey, please, I would need your help to do 2 things, actually. The first thing that I would want to do is you to add a new field inside the CRM. This is a new lead. The name of the company is called Giovanni Company, and the full contact name, it's Giovanni Beggiato. You can add the email, which is jobeggiato@gmail.com, and it's fine if you leave the assignee as empty. I would love you to add a due date as of today. And if possible, please also ensure that you're inserting in the CRM already a link to a Google Meet that you should be also scheduling inside my calendar according to my availability. Once you have done this, please move Stellar Enterprise from the status of proposal sent to the status of won. And therefore also send the onboarding email, please. Great, so we just gave Antigravity quite a lot of information that we should be seeing reflected in the CRM. And what is the power of this? The power of this is that, as you can see right now, I can prompt in natural language, literally, and this is not even a good prompt, right? Simple instruction, and what's gonna happen is that I'm gonna see all these information reflected in the CRM. Because now this is also inside the cloud. So this is also one of the things that we're going to touch, which basically means that we're going to be able to call this system whenever we want. And whenever we have an event happening, then the cloud is going to be triggered. It's called a webhook in technical terms. And then some things are going to happen. In this case, whenever we move a lead from proposal sent to won, we will see that we will receive an onboarding email saying, hey, welcome to our business. Glad we work together. And then the only thing that you're going to have to do is simply to customize this template to ensure that you actually can customize it to either your business or to your client's business if you're selling this sort of services. So, by the way, all of the material is going to be available for free in the first link down below. And if you're interested, there is also the link to my Skool Community where I teach people how to actually sell these systems. Okay, so it seems like it succeeded. So what do we have? We have Giovanni Company. We have Giovanni Beggiato, my email, assignee is empty, due date is today, intake. We have a date updated, and we have a Google Meet link. Of course, it's a demo of Antigravity. So if I press, I can join the Google Meet link, and this is working. So everything for now worked as per expectation. Now, what I saw also is that Stellar Enterprises, it's actually moved to won. And now I want to see if I received the email, which I can see that I received. Hey there. Thrilled to work with Stellar Enterprises. This is an automated email, best the team. And this is phenomenal because You can customize these emails simply by providing to Antigravity or to the template that you will get your email, and this will be done automatically in simple, natural language. So this is to say the technical barrier is very low and we can actually automate things just by prompting. So now that we saw how the system works, let me show you how you can actually build this agentic workflow from scratch. Okay, so the first thing that we do is we open Antigravity and we open the folder. Why do we open a folder? The reason is because in Antigravity or in any IDE, the folder is basically the container that stores all of the information, related to your project. So why do we have to open one? Is because we want that all of the things that we will be producing, that now I'm going to explain to you what it is, are going to be stored inside there. So open folder. I have created everything already. So Antigravity, full tutorial, and CRM. And now that we are inside the folder, we can see it from here. So top left-hand corner. As you can see, there is nothing, but once we import our Gemini.md file, we're going to have all of our folders right here in a specific order. So the first thing that we're going to be doing is importing our Gemini.md file. And as you know, the Gemini.md file is available down below, but what is this file? This file is nothing more than a framework that we provide, which is called the DOE framework, and I will explain it to you real quick right now. So as you know, D, then it's O, then E is down below. And what this basically is, in simple terms, is a set of rules that tells your IDE, or your agent, or in this case, Antigravity, how it should be organized and more or less how it should behave. And why is that? Because if you ever tried to build anything with this type of IDEs, or either you build a web app, either you build an agentic workflow, it doesn't matter, right? If you start building something, you will know that the agent eventually will continue building and will continue improving itself, right? But imagine that your goal is here. If the agent start building this way, it doesn't really matter how long it will run. You will just compound the error and the agent will just go in the wrong trajectory. So if you continue going this direction, you will never hit your goals. So basically what these directives and what this framework does is that it kind of gives a guardrail for the IDE to behave so that whenever it starts improving slowly but surely, it's improving in the right direction, and then eventually, boom, we're going to be able to hit our goals. So this is why these directives are so important. And how are these divided? These are divided into, this framework, right? The DOE framework or the architecture. So the D is directives. And basically imagine these as the company's SOP, which is basically the company documentation. There is no code there, right? There is only natural language things. So things written in a language that humans can understand. And basically they explain how you should be behaving. So here you have what is the goal, what is the required inputs, what every script should be invoking more or less, what to expect in the output, and edge cases, right? And everything basically will tell the agent what to do. The layer 2, which is the orchestration, it tells basically the agent what is the decision-making process that it should follow and where it should route or direct the request. Imagine this as a manager. So right now we have a document, which is this directive, right? So we can imagine our document right here. And then with our orchestration layer, we have our manager that takes the document and understands, okay, what are the things that should be done in order to achieve what we want to achieve and to whom I should give this request, right? So ideally, the manager gives the request to the employee. And who are the employee? In our example, the employee are the E framework that I'm going to show you down below in a second. And basically, the manager right here is simply routing the decision to some other guys that are the guys responsible to, open the Excel sheet, press the buttons, run the scripts, and so on and so forth. So the DOE framework, you can imagine it as an organizational layer if it makes it easier to understand. Then, this is just an easier way to explain it. I'm sure that if you talk to software developers and etc., they will explain to you the 3 layers architecture much better, much in more details, but this is a simplification of the process. As you can see then here, the orchestration layer tells you what is the decision making. So you should read the directives, pick the right tools, decide and validate inputs and outputs, handle errors, updates the directives as you learn because we want to continuously improve, right? So here we do not take action, we do not invent logic, we just route the decision to the right people. So the manager just gives it to the right employee. And then eventually the execution layer is the employee. So are the people actually doing the work? So here we create secrets via .env, which is basically means a safe environment where you can store your data and they can avoid being shared with the outside world. So your keys or whatever is relevant to you. And then you should create outputs, scripts, whatever. So everything is in here, right? So other than this, one last point that I want to touch is that the difference with AI automation is that these agentic workflow have a so-called self-annealing process or self-healing process that you can see right here, which basically means that when things break, they should themselves implement the changes and understand what was broken and how to fix it. And this is a huge difference between regular AI automations, right? Because with AI automation, you had to go there into the details and debug everything and etc. Here, most likely, if you're able to tell the agent what is the wrong things or directionally, again, directionally, we just made the example of the funnel, directionally where it should be looking at, then ideally the agent will be able to debug everything by its own and provide you the fixes, okay? So now that we actually have implemented the Gemini.md script and we have imported it into our folder, which is the CRM folder, we need to initialize the workspace. So hey, please initialize the workspace based on the Gemini.md file. What does it mean to initialize the workspace? It means that ideally we need to start our workspace and ensure that we need to already organize everything in the way that it's written right here. So what you will see now happen is that slowly but surely, here we will have a first folder, which will be called directives. Here we will have another folder, which will be called execution. Then we will have eventually another file, which we actually, it's not a file, it's an environment, which is called .env. And on the left of the .env file, you see now they are starting to appear. There will be sort of a setting type of thingy that basically says, okay, this is where you store safely your data. And the .tmp folder is basically nothing more. Imagine it like a trash can, okay? Where you temporarily, store the things that you are producing, like, I don't know, a PDF, a report, a lead scrape, whatever. And then eventually you dismiss them once the workflow stops running. While this here, .env, means that everything that you produce, it's personal. So it's stored within this environment right here. And this is all you need to know just to have the 80-20 understanding of what is happening and how to read these things. So now what we will see is that these are empty, but what we will see, and you can already start seeing it, is that these files inside the execution, that we said that are going to be the things that are actually going to do the work, are going to be .py files, which is the scripts that in this case are in Python. And the things that are going to be inside the directed folders are going to be the .md, which basically means nothing more than markdown files, which is simply a way that we can talk to AI agents in an effective way. And it's a way in which we can organize our text so that we can give some sort of priorities, right? Great. So our agent initialized the workspace, did everything. And so now we need to give the initial prompt that I will also leave available for free down below in the file. And what we are going to say is the following. Hey, I would like you to act as a CRM wrapper for my ClickUp CRM. And what I would like you to do is that I would like you to give me a plan on how do you plan on connecting to this CRM so I can validate it. The end in mind is basically that I need to be able to control the CRM prompting you. So ideally, you should be able to, first of all, add and modify any potential leads. You should be able to add Google Meets whenever I see fit in order for me to have something already in place and I just have to send it to my customers. You should be able to add information to every single column that is currently available in the ClickUp CRM. You should be able to modify the status of a lead and then based on that, take some specific action. And what I would like you to do is also to connect to my Gmail service, because I would like also that whenever I move the status of a lead from anything to one, I would like this lead to receive a custom email that I will be providing you later on. Can you please give me 3 possible ways in which you plan to do this? What I'm thinking is, I don't know, maybe we check if we can do it via API, or can you check if you can do it via MCP, or can you check if there is any other simpler way to do it? And so then I will be able to decide what is best for you. Okay, so basically, what did we give? This is a very general prompt where on top level, I just described what I would like this system to do for me. And I did not give a lot of actually guidance on how to set it up or from a technical standpoint. I just gave the business context of what I would need. And on top of this, I also gave some top line information of how I am thinking that this may be connected, which is, I don't know, API, MCP. And I will tell you now what these are in case you've never heard about these. But this is not even relevant because the system would ideally tell me that there are these things. So basically, API, if you have never heard about it, is simply a secret key, let's call it, that you can use in order to connect to a third-party service. So instead of creating a CRM like from scratch yourself, you can connect to other platforms. In our case, it's ClickUp. And this allows Antigravity or any other service. If you were using an A10 before, Make.com, it's the same stuff. And this allows your service then to come in contact with this third-party platform and use it / interact with it, right? On the other end, MCP, what it is a common language, I would call it the English of apps, that apps have in common in order to speak one another, right? So it's simply a way that we can access all of the functionality, and Antigravity can access all of these functionality. However, and I don't want to go into useless details, it consumes a little bit more tokens, so the context will be a little bit bigger. Amazing. So now you see that we have the so-called possibility of having this option review for the CRM. So the first one is the native agent application, which is recommended. So I build the tools, I am the wrapper. And here, as you can see, this is the recommended one because it has zero external costs. Of course, we're talking about marginal costs, right? Nothing is zero. So it's only a matter of which platform you prefer to use. But it's virtually very cheap because it's cents when you run these things. The second option is the MCP integration way. So as you saw, it says, okay, I could connect with a ClickUp MCP server to give me native capabilities and etc. And then it also gave us the hybrid option, which is to use, I don't know, Make.com or N8N in case you have automation that are already existing. So let's not forget that the only thing that we need to do in order to be able to connect to your Make.com or N8N is simply to tell Antigravity, hey, use that automation to do the changes that I wanted. Of course, in terms of agentic workflow, it's much better to have everything native, so handle directly from the agentic workflow itself because it's much more convenient. So now let's imagine that I don't really understand anything, okay? And this is what I would be saying just because I am relying on the agent or the IDE to support me. Hey, so I don't understand any of that, and I don't really know what most of these means. However, the solution that I would like you to choose is the best option that you think it's the more appropriate for you to manage this. Because the end in mind is not for me to be able to interact again with the platform. Ideally, I would want you to do most of the work and I would have simply to prompt you. So think about the solution that you provided me. Think about if there is any better way that would allow you to have a very granular control and over every field that we have inside ClickUp. And once you found the best way, please follow that and let me know. So here, I did not give any other valuable information, right? But what is it, the thing that I said? That I don't want to interact with ClickUp myself. I mean, I will be able to anyway. I just want the agent to interact with the platform. And now let's go inside ClickUp and see what actually we mean. Okay, so this is the thing that we meant when we were talking about the CRM, and these are our columns. So we have the name, which is the name of the column. So Stellar Enterprises, test agent task, whatever. It's company name, right? Contact name, as you can see, I have a lot of imagination. So Joshua Smith, Joe Smith, John Smith, etc. Contact email, already a lot of imagination also here. So email@email.com. Up until I got my email right here, because I would want at one point to test if the system that I'm building actually works, and therefore I want to check it with my own email. Assignee, due date, status. This is basically the typical funnel that we follow in any coaching or service business. You have, generally speaking, that your customers, when they fall in your funnel, and allow me to draw it like this, you are going to have an intake, which means that the customer comes in and they are overall interested in having a chat with you. So here, maybe they completed the form, they liked the post, and then they checked your profile and so on and so forth. So this is the intake part. Then you go to the second part, which is the meeting booked. So they are waiting to talk to you. The meeting still did not happen, but they are ready to start learning more information. Here, we make the hypothesis that the meeting went well and we managed to identify them as qualified leads that we were willing to work with, and then we want to sell them a proposal. Then here it's when the proposal is sent. And why is this part important? Because the difference between a waiting proposal and proposal sent, and also the difference in terms of days between meeting booked and awaiting proposals or when the meeting actually happened, has a strong impact on sales. So I don't want to give you too much overwhelm with data, but the faster you can answer to a lead and the faster that they can receive the proposal, the warmer they are, and then the more likelihood you have that they will convert. And why these systems and CRMs are useful is because the ROI is actually here, right? In the management process and in ensuring that all of the sales team is actually up to speed. Because now this is a simple stuff, right? And we can enjoy playing around with it. But here we will have that this assignee is going to be a salesperson, and we're gonna be able to track what is the performance in various ways. And mind you, this is a very simple CRM. So what you would do in case you're selling it to customers or you're applying it into your own business is I would recommend to take this template and add at least other 5-10 fields, right? Because you want to have all of the available information of your customers inside. With that being said, I was mentioning the proposal sent, and then after it's won or lost is if they paid or didn't pay. Do not ever move a lead to or prospect it's on the top of the funnel, lead is in the very bottom, and etc. Do not ever move it before they paid you money. And then we have a meeting link and then the date updated, which is very important because then we know that if we are actually following up or our sales team is doing it on the things that they are supposed to or not really, correct? So this is the intent of the things. And what we want is simply to have everything automated so that we don't have to spend time on this. So imagine now that I were to switch this to one, I would not want to send like a, custom email because you want to reinforce the things after the purchase happens, right? So saying, hey, great choice, pumped to work together, and maybe you can sell them a customized VSL that you prepared and so many other great stuff that might just enhance the perception that these customers have towards you, right? So yeah, okay. So everything is automatable and should be automated because your team / your clients should focus only on high revenue things. And this is, by the way, part of what I do with my own company and what I also tell agency owners once they hit the 10K a month revenue that they should be implementing on their own business. Because before that, I also do a lot of coaching for people that want to start and scale an AI agency. And let me tell you that before you hit the 10K a month, you don't need any CRM. It's fine a Google Sheet and handle it manually. Good, so now we had the implementation plan with everything, goal proposed, user review, architecture, and now we see, right, that we are asking the ClickUp API, ClickUp Team ID, ClickUp List, Google's credentials, path. And so now, when we press proceed, it will just be a matter of us providing these details to the agent so that it can act in our behalf. And let me quickly show you how you're going to be able to, for example, find the API key in ClickUp, but then I am just going to do the thing and then give you the end result, right? Actually, let me not do it. Let me say proceed, and you will see that at one point, the agent itself, if I didn't provide all this information up front, will ask me to provide it the information, and then we can do it together, right? In the meantime, that the agent is still running, look at how great and structured this is once you have initialized the workspace in the right way. So the phase one is preparation and configs, and if we read how the agent is thinking, we see that it started creating the telling us that a dependency is missing, which is the credential.json. And by the way, this is how you're going to be able to connect to your Google account, for example, right? So the second phase will be the execution script. And as you can see, this is great, but we also have on the left-hand side that all of these Python scripts, like you don't have to write these yourself. Like this is pretty much a disruption in the industry of AI automation, because at the end of the day, if you ever tried, even AI automation in the drag and drop sense, they are codes, they are JSON codes. So if you highlight your old NA10 automation and you copy paste it into your browser, you will see that that is code. But all of these lines of code now are automatically generated. So this is literally one step further. And this will be most likely where the automation industry / agentic workflow, however you prefer to use these fancy terms, but this is where the future is heading to. So us interacting with an IDE, okay? Potentially, this might even move to drag and drop, but the thing that it matters is that right now, the agent can take care of most of the stuff itself. Good. So great. So this is just to say, we have so many Python scripts right now, and we saw that here I have built the CRM wrapper to turn it on. I need you to add ClickUps and Google credential and read the attachment CRM setup.md, edit the .nv file with your keys, and add the credential.json. So I'm going to do probably just the, .nv file with you, where I can simply, ClickUp API key and team ID and team list. And then I can do the rest and cut the video. So to find the ClickUp API key, we just go right here. I haven't found these in a while. So settings, that might be. Then I am pretty sure that on the left-hand side here, we should be having something along the way of ClickUp API. And perfect. Here, if you wanted an API key, I'm pretty sure that there is a button that says generate, and you would be able to generate your API key. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to press regenerate, and then I'm going to copy these, right? And also, what I'm going to do is and let me go here, I'm going to take a screenshot of this and say, hey, the list is on the client relationship management. And probably I'm also going to take a screenshot of this just for the Antigravity to understand me better. So instead of adding them here, I'm lazy. So what I want to do is I want to do this. So I'm going to copy it. And then one thing that I might say is, okay, here is the list. It's called Client Relationship Management. The API keys are, and then I can simply type it here because instead of going here, because what I'm going to say is at the end, which is the thing that I always say, please, I provided you the missing information. Now do all of the changes yourself and let me know once it's done. And this is the way I like to proceed. Again, I want to manage the agent, right? I don't want anymore to go into the details. I just want to ensure that I'm providing the right input for the agent to be steered in the right direction and achieve the business result that I want. Fantastic. So as you can see now, I have that my prompt is still here, so it's doing everything by itself. And I have also provided the credential.json. And inside my env file, I have also provided all the relevant information that it needed in order to proceed. And so the only thing that now is left for us to do is to wait and see if we actually nailed the thing and got the result that we wanted, or if the agent will need other additional information in order to be fully functional as we were expecting. Okay, so the agent finished, and now we can try and see if this works. We will follow the Elon Musk prompt that that we got provided. And so let's try and see if it works. So, hey, add a new lead for Elon Musk, Elon at Tesla, interested in AI automation, and also add a booking link for the meeting in Google Meet. All right. And now we are going to see if this actually worked or not. Okay, so it's still thinking. However, we start seeing the first stuff populated, right? So Tesla, Elon Musk, Elon at Tesla. I don't believe this is the email, but if it is by any mistake, like big up. And now what the system is doing, it's actually working on creating the link that we will be able to then use. And if you can see, it's still working. So fixing Google Calendar script, removing attendees constraints, because what was the issue that it found alone, by the way, that, and if you're going to see if you read the thing, that I could not add the invitee to the meeting. And it didn't come back to me asking me to fix it. However, it just simply added it and ensured that it could take the next steps. So it seems like it updated. And if I go now in my CRM, I can see that actually I have it. So there we go. This is the booking link. And if I press, we're going into the calendar and we have the meeting and boom, very good. So can we join it? Yes, we can. The issue is that I now want to add one more automation, which is if I wanted now manually to move the status from this to 1, right? Or anything to 1, I want also something else to happen, which is sending an email to a customer, right? Because this would be so much valuable and would remove so much manual activity from the sales team that we could interact both ways, which means that Antigravity with ClickUp with Antigravity, because then we could optimize the whole flow, right? What is the issue? The issue is that right now, if I do anything, like moving this and etc., nothing happens. And why is that? Because right now, the workflow is not living on a cloud where I can call it, or the cloud can listen to my workflow to understand if an event, which basically means that something changed, right, have happened. But what is happening is that this workflow is living now only inside my laptop. And so what I need to do is I need to push this system or this workflow, this agentic workflow, any fancy term you prefer, but I need to push it in a cloud. And we are going to be using a service for this, which is called Modal. By the way, I don't have any affiliation. They are an amazing service. They are virtually cheap because I have been using this for a day, 62 calls and 0.1 cent on the free plan. As you can see, I am not paying. So this is just an amazing service. I would highly recommend it. There are others that you can use. However, this is my recommendation. And what do you need to do? You need to create something like this, which is Monitor CRM webhook. And you need to create it connecting your Antigravity with your model so that this eventually will live and you will be actually able to see that everything here worked as per expectation. And if nothing happened, you will just see the 200, which means that, you know, it just listened to the event, it succeeded, but it didn't change anything because it did not perform any task, and therefore you will not consume anything, right? What is it and how does this work? Now, if you remember, when we were in ClickUp, we were going into the secret/API key, we would generate something and blah, 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 all of those difficult stuff. With Antigravity, it's super simple because the things that you're going to have to go into Antigravity is just to prompt that it should be connecting to Modal. So again, the most important thing when you work with agentic workflow is not really to know the technical nitty-gritty details on how everything works under the hood. It's just to know what is the point we're trying to solve and how is the system supposed to be behaving. Because if we know also the service, then we can, again, and I will draw it again just because it's very clear, we can directionally give the agent the right, path so that it can go straight and achieve our goals. So what are we going to do? We're just going to go into Antigravity once again and say, hey, please, now I would love you to connect Modal, because what I would like to do is that I would like this connection that you have with ClickUp to live on a cloud. And the reason is that what I'm trying to achieve is that I'm trying to achieve the state in which if I change the status from anything to 1, ideally, I would love you to send to the email that is attached to that specific lead. I would like you to send an email, which is an onboarding email that you can create, customize, and decide what you prefer to send. And so how I would like this to be set up is basically as a trigger event. So I don't want that the connection with Modal that you're going to create will be a polling mechanism, which basically means that I don't want you to run at specific interval of time. I want you to be connected with ClickUp in a way always and understand whenever an event happens. And whenever that event happens, I want then this automation to be triggered. While you achieve this, also please ensure and let me know in case I misunderstood if a connection like this would mean that I am paying tokens in case nothing happens, or if I understood properly, which is that if nothing happens, I'm not spending any money. Again, this is just tokens are cheap, specifically with a prompt. This is a very long one. Ideally, specifically software engineers will know that this is not the best prompt. This is not a good prompt even. But what I'm trying to prove here is that your ability to prompt can even be average, but you, with the average ability to prompt, can achieve business results for which businesses would actually pay for. Because a lot of businesses will need these systems. And if you understand how they work as a system, then you can actually implement them into those businesses and you can close that gap. We have a deployment plan. We can go on and click proceed. And what it will ask is, it will ask again our credentials, our stuff. And then once again, probably, actually, it's going to be able to query Modal alone without us needing to provide credentials because we use the same account. So this is one thing that we will be validating. However, once this is achieved, what you will see is that I'm going to simply ask, go to ClickUp, move the things to 1 and see what actually happens. Great. So now we have the results. Deployment success, triggers success, cost confirmed. It's actually 0 token spent per polling. Always on, it works. Always on, it works even when your computer is not there. And then I have the walkthrough. So here basically told me how it did it and what it built. So what I can actually see here is that I have now a CRM wrapper agent created 3 minutes ago. And this actually means that my app is actually live on the cloud. And if I now go inside the CRM in ClickUp right here, and let me try to move this, which is Stellar Enterprises, because it has my email connected. I think I'm not able to see it just because I'm not refreshing. So let me just refresh real quick. And then I think my email, my contact information, and everything else should be appearing. And okay, it did. So what I want to do is I want to see if by changing this to 1, I actually get an email in my Gmail account. And I received it. I can see that this is a Stellar Enterprise email. Hey there, we're thrilled to work with Stellar Enterprise. This is an automated confirmation that we are started your onboarding best the team, and 0 minutes ago. But now, if you stayed until the end, I'm going to give you one last nugget that will make everything much better. So on the top right-hand corner right here, you will have something called, and my arrow does not go there, so it's here. It's called Open Agent Manager. And this is super important. And why? Because now what we have is that we have our CRM, we have our conversation, and etc. And pressing a plus right here, right? Or either you have it right here, it's the same stuff. So you can open another chat and we can call a so-called reviewer subagent. And what is reviewer going to do? This reviewer, it's going to help us in reviewing all of the code that we created. We're going to ask the reviewer to fully rearrange the directives so that they make sense. We're going to ask the reviewer to document everything. And this reviewer will just improve overall our script accuracy, right? So what we're going to say is something of the sort of, hey, please act as a sub-agent reviewer for the overall agentic workflow that we just created. What I would need you to do is I would need you to go through each of the, through all of the code and make sure that you are documenting everything that we did and ensuring that the Python script are as efficient as they could be and that everything that we did is documented on the directives without redundancy and giving these directives the right name. If you see fit, please change also so that I can have immediate clarity whenever I'm reading any of those to what actually the directive is doing. On top of that, if you see fit, you can either remove some directives or add some others in case you think that some things should be split in different directives because they make more sense. And now I'm going to run this agent and I'm going to show you once this is finished, the end result, and which is going to be actually the workflow that I'm going to share with you. Okay, so this is the end result. I will now go full screen, removing the chat with the agent. And as you can see now, everything was recreated and renamed accordingly. We add some stuff. We kept some other the same, like for example, the model app.py and etc. But what we have now is that we have two different directives, one for the CRM automation and one for the onboard one deals. And what does this mean? It means that now we have created two different directives, which is basically two different SOPs, one for the CRM and one for the onboarding email, which also means that whenever we want to templatize something or we want to document something, we learn two things. To document, we need to call a subagent. To templatize, all we need to say is to the agent, hey, I need this and that. So in this case, if I wanted to templatize the onboarding email and say, okay, I don't like the onboarding email that I received, I want you to say, hey, name of the company, thrilled to start working together. This is the link to our share folder. You can start reviewing this material. The team will come back to you as soon as possible. And Samantha, I don't know, will call you. All you need to do is simply go to the agent and tell the agent, hey, I would like this to be the new template. And then you document and everything will be stored for you in here. And if you want to learn how you can sell these things to real businesses, you can go to the link in the description down below, which is the link to my Skool Community. And if you're interested to learn more, you should check this video right here.